I will have my vengeance.
So you just got a resin printer. You're not sure how to support it. Or you've been trying to support your model and you keep getting fails after fails after fails and you're ready to pull your hair out. This video is made just for you. We have spent some time and it will be a very thorough and detailed video on how exactly to support a resin print for your new resin printer. No matter if it's a big one, small one, no matter what you're trying to print, same principles apply. The software that I'm using is called Chitubox. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's what I've been calling it for 4 years. It's way better than anything else I've ever used. Some people swear by other ones. I've tried these other ones. It's not for me. I highly suggest you download Chitubox. You can do the latest version as long as it's not a beta. I personally don't trust beta versions, so I highly suggest you look at the version that it is before you download it and find a stable one. Get comfortable with it, then you can do the following video that we're about to show you. So, if you're ready and you're tired of pulling your hair out, let's begin. Alright, so in order to do supports, you'll first need to learn Chitubox, which is what I'm using, and these tabs over here on the left are your quick, basic tools that you're going to need. As you can see, we have all of a Daredevil loaded in here. Base, body, arms. Now what I like to do is I like to rotate. I like to be able to get the model to be exactly where I need it to be to hide the support scars. And 45 degrees is typically a good one for bases. I try to do arms and hands with points going upwards, legs going upwards. I just like to keep the support scars minimal on the model itself. As you can see, this is basically how I'm going to support. Now I'm going to go over here, select all of it, and then I'm going to hit the supports, and they're all going to load. Now I'm going to change to medium because this is a 1/10 scale. It's pretty small. And you've got the two options there, which is platform and all. I typically always click the all button because it'll cover what's not on the platform as well. And this isn't always perfect, but it's a great start when you're trying to support a model, the smaller ones. But as you can see, this is what auto supports has already done for me. Now what I like to do is look at it, convey the area, see what all needs to be done, and when you go to the bottom, you'll see red. And since that piece is bigger, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to change it. I'm going to unselect all those models. I'm going to click just the base itself so that I can then change from medium to large supports, because those tend to hold bigger objects better. So as you can see, I've clicked and changed to heavy. It's going to ask you if you want to remove it and change it. You just click yes. It's going to auto support again, but this time you'll see it'll have a raft on the bottom that makes it a little thicker. It's more holding it together. Some people don't like rafts. I prefer them because I tend to have less problems this route. And since we've got this here, I'm going to go ahead and add supports underneath here because I don't trust just the supports on the bottom. You'll kind of see my pattern, and this is how I do a lot of supporting or pre-supporting on the models that we release. And just a quick reminder for those of you who are not familiar, we are VS Studio. We have a Patreon where we release 3D models each month. We try to release about 4 or 5 models. We have a bottom tier that's $15, and then we have a medium tier that's $20. And then we have what we call a golden vengeance tier that is $30. You can go to the Patreon link that'll be in the description of this video, and you will see in the tier section exactly what you get per tier. And as you can see, I'm even hitting the key pegs here, not just the underside, but anything that's got an overhang. So wherever you see that red, if you just don't feel comfortable, add a little bit. Some people think this is overkill, but I tend to have really good success rates. So now that we've got the base basically all supported, we're going to check in the sizes of things, and then, doing a little bit of reorganizing just to make it nice and pretty. And with these smaller parts, since this is a 1/10 scale, I'm actually going to go really light with the supports. Instead of having thick supports on a little part, I like to have little supports on little parts. It helps in the cleanup process. So basically that's what I do is the head, just depending on the size. But now that I've got them all roughly the size that I want, because I'm going to use medium on the feet, medium on the legs and torso, medium on the arms, and medium on the head, I'm going to do the hands nice and small. And then I'm going to click on all of the parts of the model again and go back to the support section so that I can just go up underneath it. I'll flip it all over upside down so that I can get a good view of where the supports actually are. And then as I do this, so as you see, most parts have medium. I'll actually go with one level smaller when I'm adding my own. The pre-supports will always be what I click, but then I will change and go a little bit smaller in the areas that I'm just not totally comfortable with. And that's what I'm going to be doing over the next few minutes, is just adding where I'm comfortable with. So this is all up to you. You can always experiment. You don't have to do a whole model like I'm doing. You can do one part and just print that one single piece. That way you're not wasting a bunch of resin, and you can test your resin, you can test your support skills, you can try different orientations to what has the cleanest result for you. It takes a minute to go through all this, but the goal is just to get you comfortable if you've never supported a model for resin. Like to have a bridge on the back of the boots. Just it makes me feel a little safer when I'm printing. But this is the whole goal, is to rotate so that you can find whatever you think you missed. Like I missed some on this head here. Wanted a little bit more than what I had, but because of the angle I was at, I didn't see these parts. Now that we are all supported, everything looks good. Oh, actually, I'm going to go back here. I'll add some of those in a minute. So what we're going to do now is actually we're going to hollow it out. I like to use 3 millimeters. You can change it going up and down, but I always do around 3, 3.3, sometimes high 2s if it's a really big piece. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually hollow these 3 bigger parts, the legs, the base, and the torso. And that blue side scroll onto the right, that is how you can look to see what you just did. Make sure that your parts are hollow that you'd like to save some resin on, which I always do with bases, torsos, legs. And if I'm going quarter scale, I'll definitely do legs, feet, arms, base, heads. Typically not the hands though, because fingers tend to be fragile, so I like those to be solid. And then we're going to add drain holes now. Now that we have hollow models, we need to add a hole to be able to drain the resin out of and shine our UV light into to cure the inside of the print. You must not ever forget your drain holes, because if you do, you will cause cracking in your prints later, which will cause you to break a model that you have already spent hours and hours and hours of your life making. We've all been there. We've all made the mistake. You probably will too, whether you are new to this or not. You can also change the size of the hole, which you will see me do when I get to that base. Always add a couple, just because you get better light shinage on the inside and it's easier to drain whenever there's more than one hole. And I always aim for an upper and lower, that way it doesn't prevent suctioning and cause the print to have problems. And as you can see here, now that we're on the base, I've made those holes a lot bigger, which will make cleaning the inside of this base way easier than if I were to have used the same size holes that I used on the neck, on the torso, and in the feet area of the legs. Now what I'm going to do is I would like to add drain holes to the top now that I have some to the bottom. And sometimes you're not going to get a good spot, but knowing that there's going to be feet that cover where these pegs are, if you put a hole really close to it, when you stand the model on it, you won't even see those holes. Or you could even print the hole pieces that you're cutting out and then slide them into place. I don't like doing that because they never fit for me. But yeah, once you're all done, do a double check. Oh, like I said, gonna have to add some more supports to these legs because I like to have bridges instead of those legs just dangling, just relying on them, on the supports that are in those red areas. I want to be able to add some to the back of the legs. And as you'll see, I'll kind of bridge up a little bit just to give me some extra comfort. Always got to have that extra comfort. Only if you're not comfortable. But yeah. The last thing I'm going to do support-wise is with this base here, you're going to cause a little bit of overhangs having these big old holes. So I'm going to go ahead and add one support just to the middle of those. Again, as extra comfort, just for my own well-being. Now, you are ready to slice your model. It is ready to go to your printer. But before you do, always check your settings and make sure that you have your printer set up into the machine so that it knows the size, and then you have to go and you have to set up your settings according to your resin and your printer. It's not a one or the other. Typically when you have the preset printer that you can load in, the settings are all mainly what they should be, but some people use crazy resin, some people use really cheap resin, some use really expensive resin, different colors, typically have some different settings that you might need to tweak. So what you're going to see on the right on that black screen is what the printer is actually going to do layer by layer, and it creates what's on the left. And then you just hit save, pick your location where you'd like to save it, name it what you like, hit save, and then let it convert, and when it is done you can then eject it and put it into your printer. And that, my friends, is how you slice a model for resin printing. But I'm going to give you guys one more little secret here. Say you want to print multiple of these. You could save this entire plate because it's already ready. Pick where you want to save it to in your files. Name it Daredevil fully supported at this scale. Save it. Then you can delete that. But I like to wait until I'm done with each plate to make sure that no parts messed up. And if they did, they're already ready to restart. So what you can do is save it by individual pieces. So what I'm doing is I'm labeling it pre-supported now. That way when I go back into Daredevil, I can see the scales that I have, and then I'll go, oh yeah, I have one pre-supported already. That's going to save me so much time in the future if I ever have to make this a second time, or if I break my model, or if your dog, like mine does, he likes to break some of my statues. Not intentionally, he's just got a big tail. So, anyway, back to the supporting of this model. What I did here was I accidentally messed up. Sometimes, if you move too fast and click, you'll end up saving the whole piece under the one. So before you just delete the parts, double check. So we're going to move that back into place. We're going to make sure it's the only one highlighted again. And when you look down at the bottom right or bottom left, when you go to save it, you'll see how fast it pops up with model complete or write complete. Once you see it happen pretty quick, you know it saved just the one model. If it takes a long time, odds are you saved the whole plate, and I will double check that piece before you do. And as you can see, I've loaded in just the one piece that's already pre-supported. It's the one that's all blue. But we'll get rid of that. We can get rid of that because we've already gotten it now. Now we're going to go through and do each individual piece. Double check. Make sure that's the only thing highlighted. Time you want to print it bigger. You're going to load all those parts back in, set that plate up. All of it's the pre-supported. As you can see, it's all blue now, and all you got to do is change the scale. It'll be a little bit thicker, but you'll still have your hollowed parts, drain holes, all of that. And if you keep that ratio locked, it'll all scale proportionally, so you just keep that percentage going from 100 to whatever it is that we just landed on for this demonstration. You'll have to reorganize your parts to make sure they all fit. You can still circular rotate and just turn the angle to make it fit better. Doesn't change anything on how it prints. And that's all there is to it. And as you can see, I have a wardrobe change. I have been showered. I have slept. It's a brand new day, brand new video. Hope you all enjoyed it. Make sure to like, subscribe to the channel, and thank you for watching. And If you have not considered joining the Patreon, please do. You can find us at patreon.com/VS Studio. Thank you guys, and we'll see you next time.